When did you realize the safe choice was actually the biggest con artist? I'm sitting here in my beat-up 2018 Honda Civic in the parking lot of the Trader Joe's, where I was supposed to be picking up sparkling cider for Zachary's birthday party. And instead I'm trying to figure out how I didn't realize the man I have been dating for 2 years and 8 months is fundamentally, irrevocably, a trash human being. Literally just found out that not only has he been lying about his job and his finances, but he orchestrated a plan to get Ryan, my best friend's fiance, fired right before his wedding. I swear this is real life and not some bad Hulu reality show. I need to vent this out or I am going to explode. I don't even know where to start with this dumpster fire, so I'm just going to type. Please, someone tell me I'm not crazy. My name is Julie Murphy, 20F. Yeah, I know I'm young, but when you're raised by addicts, you grow up fast and develop a serious radar for BS. Or so I thought. Apparently my radar was malfunctioning, possibly due to low battery, because I completely missed every screaming red flag Zachary, 32M, was waving. Zachary, bless his heart, is the kind of guy who looks great on paper. Stable job and logistics, which was vague, but I never pressed. Drives a relatively nice, if least, black BMW, and he was absolutely obsessed with me. Like truly loyal pet energy. He tracked my moods, anticipated my needs, brought me Starbucks at work on Tuesdays at 11:47 a.m. without fail, and generally treated me like a princess. It was too much sometimes, honestly, but I chalked it up to him just being a good guy who finally found someone who appreciated him. He was the safe choice, the secure spot, everything my childhood wasn't. We live in apartment 3B, a decent, slightly overpriced one-bedroom. Our rent is $1,247 a month, and up until this week, I was convinced Zachary handled 70% of it because his logistics bonuses were so good. My current stress level is 1,000 because I realize now that my portion of $437 was probably the only thing keeping us afloat, and the security deposit is a myth. The whole thing started because of the bachelor party. Zachary's 32nd birthday is next Saturday, but his friends, Adam, 51M, and Lucas, 45M, decided to make it a joint bachelor party for Zachary and Ryan Torres, 28M, who's getting married in 3 weeks to my friend Chloe. Ryan is a lot. He's the classic MLM hun. Everything is about passive income streams, financial independence, and being your own boss. GL, the man, is irritating, constantly trying to pitch me on his essential oils or crypto scheme. He's that guy who sends you triple texts full of motivational quotes. But he's Chloe's fiance, so I put up with it. The plan was a weekend trip to Vegas. Zachary hates Vegas, actually, but Ryan was insistent that a bachelor party had to be Vegas. Zachary kept stressing about the cost, which I thought was weird for a guy who was supposedly pulling down 6 figures, but he just said he didn't want to spend frivolously. The complications started when Lucas Jenkins, 45M, Zachary's childhood friend and apparently a high-flying social climber, called me on Tuesday. Lucas is the kind of guy who wears an Apple Watch and a Rolex simultaneously. He has serious main character syndrome. Had met him maybe twice, and both times he acted like I was wallpaper. Tuesday, around 5:30 p.m., I was trying to figure out how to stretch a $43.67 grocery bill at Costco and trying to manage the 247 unread emails in my inbox when the iPhone 14 rang. It was Lucas. Julie, Lucas Jenkins here. Listen, I need to talk to you about Zachary, he said, skipping the pleasantries. His tone was immediate and serious. I felt my stomach drop instantly. Is everything okay? Is he hurt? No, he's fine. It's about Ryan Torres, 28M, and the party. Lucas then proceeded to explain that Zachary had been acting strange about the Vegas trip. Specifically, Zachary had been insisting that Ryan couldn't come. Like, full-on demanding Lucas and Adam cancel Ryan's reservation. Adam Brown, 51M, who's Zachary's ancient coworker and complete flying monkey, was apparently just nodding along, agreeing with whatever Zach said. Lucas said, and I quote, Zachary has been saying that Ryan is a financial liability and that he's not suitable to join a high-caliber group like ours. I mean, the kid sells magic supplements, but seriously, who cares? It's a party. I remember laughing awkwardly. Oh, Lucas, you know Zachary. He's always trying to pretend he's morally superior to MLM guys. It's just his thing. He's protective of his image, I guess. Lucas sighed. No, Julie, this is more than image. He explicitly told Adam and me that if Ryan showed up, Zachary would ensure Ryan lost his real job. I froze. Wait, Ryan doesn't have a real job. He sells those stupid energy drinks, Lucas. That's his whole life. He quit his job at the bank 2 years ago. That's what I thought too. Zachary was dead serious. He said, and I wrote this down because it was so unhinged, Ryan Torres has a standing job offer at Apex Logistics that he hasn't formally accepted yet, and if he steps one foot in that private jet this weekend, I will personally revoke the offer and blacklist him from the industry. My mind was racing. Zachary works at Apex Logistics. Ryan used to work at a bank. Why would Zachary, the loyal pet who loves me, be actively trying to sabotage my friend's fiance's life just because he didn't want him at a birthday party? The math was not mathing, you know? I hung up with Lucas saying I would talk to Zachary immediately, but I didn't. I was paralyzed. I was trying to process the level of calculated malice in that threat. It wasn't just a petty squabble. It was financial warfare over a party. At night, I started looking into the only thing I knew for sure, Apex Logistics. Zachary's hours had been weird lately. He was always on his crack-screen Samsung Galaxy taking private calls, whispering about inventory reports and shipment deadlines. He'd been claiming massive overtime, but when I looked at our joint bank account, the one he insisted I could only look at for emergency transparency, there were issues. Rent, $1,247, was always pulled out reliably on the first. But I noticed 2 things. First, that it was consistently being covered by 2 Zelle transactions from an unknown number before his paycheck cleared. And second, that there were weekly $200 withdrawals at an ATM that I didn't recognize near my mom's house in Westfield. My mom, by the way, lives 50 miles away and hates Zachary. I thought maybe he's buying me a surprise gift for the birthday, or maybe he's dealing with some secretive family debt. Past me was an absolute clown for not seeing this. I decided to do the thing I hate, look at his phone. I know, invasion of privacy, but my gut was screaming and I was already shaking, full body shaking, and needed to know why he was threatening my friend's job. I waited until 2 a.m. when he was in his deepest sleep, breathing heavily through his mouth. Opened the Samsung, thank God for biometric security failure when sleeping, and went straight to his emails, searching for Apex Logistics. And that's where I found it. It wasn't an email from an employer. It was an email to an employer. It was dated last Thursday and it was addressed to Lucas Jenkins, 45M, and Adam Brown, 51M, but they weren't listed as coworkers. They were listed as hiring manager and HR specialist. Subject line was, and I swear I'm not making this up, RE, reference check request Zachary Wu 32M. The email was Zachary's own reference check request, sent from a burner email, designed to look like a response from his previous employer. The body of the email was pure glowing praise, talking about his unmatched leadership and unyielding dedication to client fulfillment. I skimmed further down. There was a second attachment. It was an invoice for professional reference services. The cost, $347. My jaw literally dropped, like I almost woke him up. Zachary wasn't working at Apex Logistics. He was trying to get a job at Apex Logistics, and he was paying Lucas and Adam, his supposed friends and party planners, to pretend to be the hiring managers at the company he was trying to leave so that he could pass their reference check. Everything clicked. Secrecy, the vague logistics answers, the strange Zelle transfers, the stress over the $1,247 rent, the bizarre urgency around money. He wasn't rich, he was unemployed and DRWNING. But wait, it gets so much worse. I went back to the primary folder and found a text thread with Adam Brown, 51M. Adam is the older, weirdly devoted flying monkey who always agrees with Zach. The thread was about Ryan Torres, 28. Zachary, I need you to step up with the Ryan situation. If Lucas brings him on the flight, the plan is ruined. We can't have him sniffing around Apex right now. Adam, copy that. Z, you really think he's accepted the offer? Zachary, he hasn't formally accepted, but Lucas got him the verbal offer. Ryan is stupid enough to believe Lucas when he says the bachelor party is mandatory for networking. Adam, so we cancel Ryan's attendance and you get the job? Zachary, exactly. Background check for my actual reference is clean now. I paid the $347 fee. I just need to make sure Ryan doesn't try to use Lucas's connection to get hired for real and expose the fact that my bonuses are actually me draining my savings. Adam, what about the other reference you needed? The one for the really sensitive stuff? Zachary, Lucas handles that. It's the educational verification for the advanced degree. I'm paying him an extra $500 for that. He needs the money for his Tesla payment anyway. I felt sick. It wasn't just that Zachary was unemployed and faking his career. He was actively orchestrating Ryan's employment situation as well. He was using Ryan as bait to access Lucas' connections at Apex, pretending to secure a job for Ryan while setting Ryan up for a fall, simply to ensure Ryan wouldn't expose Zachary's own professional fraud. Birthday party wasn't just a party. It was a distraction, a control measure. I checked our accounts again, now looking for transfers to Adam and Lucas. Bingo! A Venmo request from Lucas for Vegas funds for $500 marked as paid, and a Cash App transaction to Adam for $347, listed as vintage watch repair. The $200 weekly withdrawals? Probably for Adam's services, the lying sidekick. I stumbled back to the bathroom, genuinely feeling like I might throw up. My hands were shaking so violently I dropped my phone. I didn't care about the cracked screen. I was sobbing, silent, ugly, crying into a hand towel because the humiliation was crushing me. I looked at my face in the mirror. My mascara was everywhere. I hadn't eaten properly since yesterday, just a quick Chick-fil-A sandwich in the car, and I felt weak. I looked exactly like the desperate, naive girl I swore I would never become. Raised by addicts, I thought I was immune to emotional fraud. I was wrong. I spent the next hour just pacing the small living room of apartment 3B, looking at Zachary's stuff. His Peloton gathering dust in the corner, his expensive Amazon Echo devices, the designer clothes he couldn't afford. Every single thing in our life was a lie, built on the premise that he was a successful, stable provider. He'd gaslit me into ignoring my financial concerns for months, telling me, "You're too sensitive about money, Julie. I've got this." I remembered a small incident 2 weeks ago. The toilet started leaking. I called a plumber. It cost $85 for the diagnostic. Zachary absolutely raged at me for not using his guy. He claimed he knew a guy who would do it for free. Of course, the free guy never showed up, but the rage was so out of proportion for $85. How I knew why? Every dollar was precious because he wasn't earning any. The sun was starting to come up. I had to make a plan. I couldn't just confront him here, not when I felt like I might actually hit him with a frying pan. I needed witnesses, I needed leverage, and most importantly, I needed to protect Ryan and Chloe from this manipulative monster. I quickly logged into my laptop and started downloading every single text message, Zelle, Venmo, and email screenshot. Made a folder titled Apex Fraud. I sent a text to Chloe, my best friend, need you. Emergency. Do not talk to Ryan. Do not tell Zach anything. Meet me at Starbucks on Main Street at 8 a.m. She responded instantly, girl, what the fuck, on my way. I then sent a carefully worded text to Lucas Jenkins, 45M, the social climber who was clearly in over his head, pretending to hire people for $500. Me? Lucas. I know about the reference checks. Know about Ryan? We need to talk before your private jet leaves. I got 3 little gray typing dots immediately. They went away, then they came back. Lucas, I wait, what? What are you saying? Me? I'm saying the whole thing is coming apart. Meet me at 9 a.m. at the office on the 5th floor. We need to tell the actual Apex HR. I got no response. I was done. Just done. I put my worn canvas duffel bag, the only thing I owned that wasn't covered in his financial lies, into my Honda Civic. Grabbed the spare key and the lease agreement. Thank God I insisted on having my name on it. I pulled out of the parking lot at 7:30 a.m., ready to meet Chloe. I knew confronting him in front of Lucas and Adam, calling them out with the cold hard evidence of their financial fraud and the deliberate sabotage of Ryan, was the only way to ensure they couldn't weasel out of this. But first, I needed coffee, and I needed Chloe's full, unfiltered rage to fuel me. When I met Chloe, she was frantic. I told her everything, showing her the screenshots right there over lukewarm Pike Place coffee. She was silent for a full minute, her jaw literally slack. He used Ryan's job as a human shield for his own unemployment fraud, she whispered, eyes wide. The audacity. Julie, we need to call the police. Not yet, I said, putting my empty cup down. I'm not doing this quietly. I want the consequences to be public, and I want him to know that I know everything before he can run. Ryan is packing for Vegas right now. The jet leaves at 11 a.m. I need to get to the office on 5th floor, which is apparently where Apex Logistics HR is located, and blow this whole thing up before Ryan gets on that plane. If Lucas and Adam see me, they might warn Zachary, but it's a risk I have to take. Chloe was already pulling out her phone. I'm calling Ryan. I need to tell him not to go? No, I stopped her, grabbing her arm. That's exactly what Zachary wants. He wants Ryan exposed as a no-show. We need Ryan there, ready to board. This isn't just about Zachary's job, it's about the fact that Lucas is clearly dangling this job offer over Ryan's head just to manipulate him. We need to expose Lucas and Adam as well. This is a synchronized nuclear strike. I looked at the time on my Apple Watch. 10:15 a.m. I had 45 minutes to get to the 5th floor of the Apex building, intercept Lucas, and execute the call them out plan. I drove like a maniac, traffic sucking worse than usual. I got to the building, parked in a spot I knew I'd get towed from, and ran inside. The 5th floor was all glass and minimalist furniture. I asked the receptionist for Lucas Jenkins. She smiled nervously and pointed down the hall. I rounded the corner and saw Lucas, 45M, and Adam, 51M, standing next to a water cooler, both looking pale and agitated. Adam was holding a printout which looked suspiciously like the reference check I had seen on Zachary's phone. Lucas. Adam, I said, my voice shaky but firm. Lucas spun around, looking completely guilty. Julie, I thought I told you I can't talk right now. We're dealing with a client issue. Oh, I know all about your client issue, I said, pulling out my phone and holding it up so they could see the screenshots of the Venmo requests and the fake reference check. And I know about the $500 you charged Zachary for educational verification and the $347 Adam got for vintage watch repair. Adam looked like he was going to faint. You don't understand, Julie. Zachary asked us to. I understand that you were actively participating in employment fraud and trying to sabotage a man's future job prospects just so your buddy wouldn't get caught being unemployed. Now, where's Zachary? Because I know he's supposed to be meeting you here for the final handshake. Lucas stammered, his social climber facade completely cracking. He's downstairs. He's meeting Ryan in the lobby. Ryan came early. They're going to share a cab to the airport. My blood went cold. Ryan was in the lobby with Zachary, the man who was actively trying to ruin his life. I didn't wait for the elevator. I practically flew down the 4 flights of stairs, my chest tight, my vision blurry. I burst out into the lobby panting, and there they were. Zachary, 32M, looking immaculate in a tailored suit, the picture of success. And Ryan, 28M, wearing his signature motivational t-shirt and holding a briefcase full of essential oils, beaming, probably thinking he was about to solidify a high-power networking connection before a private jet took him to Vegas. Zachary was handing Ryan a sealed envelope. Just sign this, Ryan, Zachary was saying, a slick practice charm in his voice. It's the final paperwork for the Apex offer. Gotta get it signed before we board. HR wanted to make sure you had it done. I stopped dead in my tracks. That envelope wasn't a job offer. It was a cancellation, a contract full of legal loopholes, designed to be signed right before the flight, ensuring Ryan was out of the running and completely exposed. I looked at the glass doors of the lobby. Lucas and Adam were watching from the 5th floor balcony. I had maybe 10 seconds before Zachary saw me and realized the game was up. Had to choose, expose the entire, messy, layered fraud right now or let Ryan sign the death warrant of his future employment. I took a deep breath, fighting the urge to throw up again. This was it. The moment I became the villain in Zachary's narrative. ZACHRY woo, I screamed, the sound echoing through the pristine glass lobby. Both men whipped around. Zachary's face went from smug confidence to pure, stark horror in an instant. You need to drop the envelope, Ryan, I yelled, not moving my eyes from Zachary. That isn't a job offer, it's a sabotage contract. Zachary, loyal pet turned cornered rat, was already moving, his hands clamping down on Ryan's arm. Julie, what are you doing here? You're being dramatic. You need to stop this, he hissed, his eyes wide and panicked. This is private business. I walked forward, my legs surprisingly steady despite the shaking. I pointed a finger at Zachary's perfect, lying face. I just finished talking to Lucas and Adam, Zachary. I know about the $347, I know about the reference checks, I know you've been unemployed for months, and I know exactly what you put in that envelope to make sure Ryan Torres never sets foot in Apex Logistics. You tried to use a man's livelihood as a shield for your own pathetic professional fraud. You're done. The look on Zachary's face was priceless. It wasn't just fear. It was absolute, unadulterated shock that his careful 2-year-long operation had been blown up by the 20-year-old girl he thought he controlled. Ryan, 28M, looked from Zachary, who was now sweating profusely, to me, covered in dried mascara and pure rage. He slowly lowered the envelope. What the hell is she talking about, Zach? Ryan asked, the motivational tone finally gone, replaced by confusion and fear. Zachary took a step toward me, his voice dropping dangerously low, laced with the gaslighting I'd heard so many times before. Julie, listen to me. You're remembering it wrong. You're too sensitive. You need to come home with me right now before you ruin my career. I stood my ground, staring him down. I looked him dead in the eyes and delivered the blow I had been rehearsing since 6 a.m. You don't have a career to ruin, Zachary. And after all I've done for you, supporting your pathetic, fragile ego, this is how you repay me. Sabotaging my best friend's fiancé. We are done. And if you touch that BMW before the police get here, I will post every single receipt of your fraud onto every social media platform you own. Now, let's open that envelope right here and see what kind of birthday present you really got Ryan. Zachary looked up, past me, to the 5th floor where Lucas and Adam had disappeared, realizing his flying monkeys had abandoned him. He then looked back down at the envelope in Ryan's hand, a look of pure, cold fury replacing the panic. He lunged. "Give me that," he screamed, trying to rip the sealed document from Ryan's hand, forcing a desperate, chaotic struggle right there in the pristine corporate lobby, just as the private jet pilot walked in to announce boarding. I knew I had won the fight, but I had absolutely no idea what I had just unleashed. I knew I had won the fight, but I had absolutely no idea what I had just unleashed. The moment Zachary lunged for the envelope, Ryan, who is irritating but physically fit from selling those expensive energy drinks, reflexively pulled back. Zachary was screaming, a high-pitched, desperate sound I had never heard before. It wasn't the calm, stable boyfriend anymore. He was a wild animal protecting its last scrap of dignity. "It's mine. Give it back," Zachary roared, snatching at Ryan's hand. Ryan stumbled backward, dropping his briefcase full of essential oils, which clattered loudly on the polished floor. The smell of lavender and eucalyptus immediately flooded the sterile Apex lobby. NGL, it was a moment of intense emotional chaos mixed with expensive aromatherapy. Private jet pilot, Captain Greg, a guy who looked like he had been airlifted directly from a 1980s yacht catalog, just stood there holding a clipboard looking completely bewildered. I didn't hesitate. I shoved myself between Zachary and Ryan. "Don't touch him," I screamed, feeling adrenaline surge through me. It felt incredible, actually. Like all the suppressed rage from 2 decades of dealing with lying, manipulative people finally found an outlet. Zachary just stared at me, his eyes blazing. "You ruined everything, Julie, everything. You ruined everything when you decided to be a professional fraudster and use my best friend's fiancé as bait." I snapped back. I grabbed Ryan's arm. "Open the envelope, Ryan, now." Ryan, bless his MLM heart, was still processing. He was shaking, but he obeyed. He ripped open the sealed, legal-looking envelope. Inside, there wasn't a job contract. There was a single sheet of watermarked paper. Ryan read the first sentence, and his face went white. It says, "I am formally declining the offer from Apex Logistics due to unforeseen financial commitments relating to a prior business venture, and that I agree not to reapply for 5 years." Ryan read aloud, his voice hollow. He looked at Zachary, then at me. He was making me quit before I even started. Zachary grabbed the sheet and crumpled it. "It was a joke, a prank for the bachelor party." "You're being ridiculous, Julie, stop acting crazy." I pulled up the screenshots on my phone and practically shoved the screen into Ryan's face. The text from Zachary to Adam about using Ryan as a shield and exposing his no-show. The receipts for the fake reference checks. Ryan, the eternal optimist who believes every challenge is a chance for exponential growth, finally saw the reality. He didn't yell. He didn't rage. He just looked deflated. MLM Hun had been conned by the loyal pet, and the pet wasn't even loyal to himself. "You knew I needed this job, Zach," Ryan said quietly, picking up his briefcase. "Chloe and I are paying for the wedding ourselves. This was supposed to be our stability." Zachary ignored Ryan and turned back to me, trying one last time to use the familiarity of our relationship as a weapon. "We can fix this, honey. We just need to go home. We can talk about the rent. I can get another job. Don't throw away 2 years over a misunderstanding." "It's not a misunderstanding, Zac Charwai," I said, using the full name, which I knew always signaled serious trouble. "It's calculated deceit, and I'm done being the stable ground for your house of cards." I took screenshots of every piece of evidence, and I already sent copies to Chloe. "I'm moving out today. Can figure out how to pay $1,247 a month on your non-existent logistics salary." I grabbed Ryan's arm and pulled him toward the exit. Captain Greg, deciding this was above his pay grade, slowly backed toward the elevator. "You can't do this," Zachary yelled after me. "I need you. Who will pay for the apartment? What about the utilities?" "Figure it out, Peter Pan," I threw over my shoulder. We stepped outside and into the blinding midday sun. Ryan was shell-shocked. "What do I do now?" he asked, still clutching the crumpled sabotage contract. "First, you call Chloe and tell her everything," I instructed. "Second, we don't let Zachary, Lucas, or Adam get away with this. I need to make sure Lucas knows he's screwed too." So 2 days later, I was living on Chloe and Ryan's couch, surrounded by boxes of essential oils and cryptocurrency mining equipment. It smells faintly of citrus, but NGL, it's safer than my apartment. I've been surviving on ramen and Chloe's righteous fury. She's an absolute force of nature. When I sent her the evidence, she didn't cry or panic. She went into full-blown tactical mode. She immediately texted Ryan and told him not to go to Vegas, but she didn't explain why, just saying, "There's a family emergency and you need to be here." That kept Zachary from using the no-show narrative. Ryan, being the loyal if sometimes clueless fiancé, was home within the hour. When I showed Chloe the contract and the fraud screenshots, she physically stomped her foot. "He was going to ruin my wedding? I swear, Julie, you deserve an Oscar for walking into that lobby." The first big consequence hit fast. Lucas Jenkins, 45M, the social climber, panicked the moment I walked out of the Apex building. Knew I had the proof of the fake references and the educational verification, scammed the $500 fee Zachary paid him to lie about a degree he didn't have. I got a call from an unknown number that evening. It was Lucas. "Julie, please, we need to talk. This has gone too far," Lucas pleaded, his usually slick voice shaky. I didn't know the extent of Zachary's deception. Adam and I thought we were helping a friend get back on his feet. We were just doing him a favor. He was going to pay us back. A favor for $847, Lucas? I shot back. You actually participated in employment fraud and tried to set up Ryan to fail. You were selling your corporate contacts for Tesla money. Look, I already fixed it, he rushed to say. I went straight to the actual Apex HR director, a woman named Ms. Davison. I told her that Zachary was making fraudulent claims and that the reference checks were bogus. Even told her about the envelope. I cleared Ryan's name, Julie. I told them Ryan was the victim here. I was silent for a moment, processing. Lucas, the ultimate social climber, had thrown his friend Zachary under the bus to protect his own career and access to Apex. It was classic self-preservation, but it worked to my advantage. Did you tell them you accepted money to facilitate this fraud? I asked. A heavy pause. I left out the financial specifics. I'm no longer involved with Zachary Wu, I promise you that. I'm sorry for the drama I caused. I didn't believe him for a second, but I took the win. Lucas was out, terrified, and had already sabotaged Zachary's job prospects where it mattered most, HR. Lucas' character development was realizing his reputation was more important than his friendship. Fast forward to Friday, the day the private jet was supposed to leave for Vegas. I had already stopped by apartment 3B to grab the rest of my stuff while Chloe waited outside in the Civic. We changed the locks on my portion of the door, a cheap lock Chloe installed while I packed and left Zachary a note. Apartment utilities are cut off Monday. Change the lease or face eviction. Have a great birthday. I also changed the Wi-Fi password. Petty? Yes. Necessary? Absolutely. Zachary's birthday was next Saturday, but the intended bachelor party weekend started that Friday. Since the jet didn't leave, because Lucas had bailated and Captain Greg reported the disruptive lobby incident, Adam Brown, 51M, the flying monkey, decided to show up at my work. I work as a barista at a local coffee shop, The Daily Grind. Super stable, super low stress, and it keeps my ADHD brain happy. Around 3 p.m., Adam walked in. Looked terrible pale, sweaty, and wearing a suit that was definitely too hot for the weather. Julie, I need to talk to you, he whispered across the counter. I was making a complicated caramel macchiato. I didn't even look up. If this is about the rent, I already told Zachary. If this is about the fake reference check, the case is closed. If this is about the $347 he gave you for the vintage watch repair, I suggest you invest that in a real watch. Adam slammed his hand on the counter. You don't understand what you've done. Zachary is depressed. He's been drinking. He's going through something. Ah, the classic flying monkey deflection. He's going through the natural consequences of financial and relational fraud, Adam, I said, handing the macchiato to an extremely interested customer. He was just trying to impress you, Adam insisted, lowering his voice. He was so afraid you'd leave him because he wasn't pulling six figures. He loves you. He bought you that Peloton? I actually laughed, a harsh, ugly sound. The Peloton is gathering dust, Adam, and in GL I don't care about his income. I care that he gaslit me for 2 years, made me think I was being too sensitive about money, and then actively tried to destroy Ryan's life just to hide his own unemployment. That's not love, that's pathological control. Adam got desperate. If you just call Lucas, tell him you misunderstood the situation. I have text evidence of the plan, Adam. What is there to misunderstand? Then he said something that genuinely shocked me. Zachary already lost the Apex opportunity. He got an email this morning saying his application was terminated due to reference inconsistencies. Lucas told them everything, you know? Zachary is devastated. He's blaming you. He should be blaming you and Lucas for taking his money to lie, and himself for trying to pay people to fabricate his professional history, I said, finally looking him in the eye. And Adam, I know Zachary was paying you the extra $200 weekly withdrawals for your assistance. You're just worried your side hustle is gone. Adam's face went scarlet. He turned and stumbled out of the coffee shop without another word. The truth hurts, especially when it's itemized on a bank statement. Week went by where I was essentially hiding. I stayed at Chloe and Ryan's place, sleeping on their very comfy but oil-scented couch. Ryan, 28M, had gone through significant character development in 7 days. The bubble had burst. The initial shock of being betrayed by someone he thought was a networking connection had sobered him up considerably. He stopped talking about passive income streams for 72 hours straight, which was a record. He realized the severity of Zachary's sabotage and how easily he could have lost the chance at a stable career if I hadn't intervened. He started working with Chloe on applying to other jobs in logistics, using his banking background, and he even contacted Apex HR himself not to get the job, but to formally report Zachary and Lucas, which solidified his victim status and cleared his record. He's still selling essential oils, TBH, but he seems to be focusing on the corporate applications much more seriously now. He actually thanked me. Ryan, the MLM Hun, thanked me. It was bizarre and wonderful. The biggest challenge was Zachary himself. He refused to accept that I was gone. By Tuesday, I was at my new apartment, a shoebox I found 40 miles away, where the rent is $950, which is manageable. Had a full breakdown in the empty living room because setting up the utilities felt overwhelming, but Chloe brought pizza and wine, and we celebrated not having to smell Zachary's expensive, terrible cologne anymore. This morning, 3 days after I moved into the shoebox, he showed up at my door. I hadn't given him the address, obviously, but he found it by tracking my car's license plate through the registration history. He still had access to classic loyal pet tracking skills. He looked rough. His tailored suit was rumpled, he hadn't shaved, and he was carrying a grocery bag. I opened the door only enough to see his face. Julie, please, we need to talk, he said, his voice quiet, almost mournful. There's nothing to talk about, Zachary. You committed fraud, you lied to me for almost 3 years, and you tried to derail Ryan's life. We are done. He held up the grocery bag. I brought you sparkling cider for my birthday party. It's next Saturday. We can still do this. Still celebrate. Adam and Lucas said they won't come, but we can have a quiet night. My stomach turned. He was clinging to the narrative that everything was fine, that the birthday party, the very mechanism that exposed his entire web of lies, could still happen. "You brought the sparkling cider I was supposed to pick up that day?" I asked, my voice dangerously even. "The day I was sitting in the Trader Joe's parking lot realizing I dated a lie? Just come home," he pleaded, reaching out a hand. "I'm scared, Julie. I'm alone. You're the only person who ever understood me. The rent is due and I don't know what to do." I looked at the pathetic, desperate man standing on my doorstep, using helplessness as his final manipulative weapon. This was the moment I could have caved, the moment I could have fallen back into the pattern of saving the addict-like personality. I thought about my childhood, watching my mother chase bad choices, and my father promise change that never came. I thought about the $437 I reliably contributed to his fake life. I thought about the tears I cried in the bathroom that morning. "No," I said firmly. "What do you mean no?" he asked, genuinely confused, as if no wasn't an option for me. "I mean no, I'm not going home. I'm not celebrating your birthday. And I am not fixing your financial problems. You chose to lie, you chose to defraud your way into a job, and you chose to try and take down Ryan. These are the consequences." He stared at me, his eyes narrowing. The helpless mask dropped and the cold fury I saw in the lobby returned. "You know what? Fine, go live in your little shack," he spat, gesturing toward my apartment. "You think you're so much better than me, but you're just a low-income barista who will never achieve anything. Y'all never have a stable life without me. Your family is trash and you're going to end up just like them?" That stung. That hit the deepest nerve. But instead of crying, I felt a strange calm. "My family might be trash, Zachary, but at least they never faked a job for 3 years and paid their friends to participate in felony fraud," I said. "And I might be a low-income barista, but every dollar I earn is real. Unlike you. Now get off my porch or I will call the police for stalking." He dropped the bag of sparkling cider. It didn't break, just thumped on the welcome mat. He turned and walked away without looking back. I watched him go, then shut the door and locked all 3 deadbolts. I leaned against the door, shaking, but not from fear, from the sheer relief of setting that boundary. So, here's the current status, 2 weeks after the lobby explosion. I'm typing this from my shoebox apartment, sipping cheap instant coffee. Zachary Wu, 32M, lost the Apex job, obviously. He's been evicted from apartment 3B because he couldn't handle the rent alone after I cut off the utilities, and he definitely hadn't paid the security deposit. The landlord called me, asking if I wanted to resume the lease solo, and I laughed out loud. NGL, I feel bad for his next girlfriend, but I feel worse for his landlord. He sent me one final text saying I ruined his life, and I simply sent him a screenshot of the $347 Cash App payment to Adam. I blocked him on everything. His birthday was last weekend. I celebrated by eating a pint of ice cream and watching the Great British Baking Show. Ryan Torres, 28M, massive character development. He officially stopped trying to recruit Chloe's wedding guests into his essential oil network. Got an interview with a mid-sized shipping company, partially thanks to the goodwill he generated with Apex HR by reporting the fraud. He and Chloe are getting married in 2 weeks, and they asked me to be the maid of honor, which is a huge honor considering the drama. He's realized stability comes first. TBH, he might still try to sell me supplements, but he's a genuine friend now. Lucas Jenkins, 45M, the social climber saved his own skin, is still working at Apex, but he's walking on eggshells. I got an anonymous LinkedIn message saying he was recently pulled into HR for a serious conversation about professional ethics. He keeps trying to message me, saying we should grab coffee, clearly trying to gauge if I'm going to drop the full weight of the evidence on him. I leave him on read. His reputation is already dinged, and that's probably the worst punishment for a social climber. Adam Brown, 51M, the flying monkey is gone, vanished. I suspect he realized he committed low-level fraud for $200 a week and is laying low. He blocked me on all social media. Good riddance. The fallout, the friend group is definitely fractured, like a bad ceramic mug. Most people saw through Zachary's facade pretty quickly once the story came out, thanks to Chloe's furious retelling. Everyone knows now that he was a lie wrapped in a BMW lease. My credit score took a small hit because I had to close that joint bank account immediately, but I've already opened a new solo account, and I feel way more in control. I still have moments where the humiliation washes over me, usually when I'm stress cleaning the grout in my new apartment. I dated a man who was actively paying his friends to lie about him. It's a surreal, dark comedy. I thought being raised by addicts gave me a superpower against emotional manipulation. I realized I wasn't immune. I was just vulnerable to a different kind of stability. Zachary offered me security I never had, and I was so desperate for it, I ignored the screaming red flags. I equated his intense loyalty and attention to genuine security, when really it was just intense control. The loyal pet energy was actually just me being his prized possession that he couldn't afford to lose. But I called him out. I didn't hide. I didn't enable him. I blew up his birthday party sabotage and his entire life, and I protected someone else in the process. That feels huge. I'm eating ramen every night, I'm working extra shifts, and my Civic needs new tires, but I sleep peacefully now. I don't have to check the bank account constantly, and no one is whispering into a cracked phone screen about logistics bonuses. Yesterday, Chloe and I were packing her wedding favors, and she mentioned Zachary's name. We both paused, looked at each other, and just burst out laughing. We laughed until our sides hurt, about the logistics fraud, the $347 fake reference invoice, and the essential oils bomb in the corporate lobby. I guess that's the real resolution. I am still dealing with the mess, but I found my humor again, and I'm surrounded by people who are genuinely real, even if they sometimes try to sell me pyramid schemes. We'll update if I ever see Zachary hiding behind the cereal aisle at Trader Joe's, but until then, I am calling this a win. Thanks for letting me vent. This truly helped me process the fact that I survived a chaotic fraud scheme over a bachelor party. I'm moving forward. I'm gonna be okay.